So I am really excited today because Dr. Teri Rouse is our guest, and she came all the way from Philadelphia to our studio here in Los Angeles to be on the show. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me all the way from Philadelphia. This is so exciting. I'm really happy to be here with you, Meredith.
Well, fun fact, if anybody is watching at home and doesn't know, I am originally from Philly, so Philly girls in the house.
Go Eagles.
Go Eagles fly, Eagles fly, that's right. Thank you so much for coming in. And for people who haven't met you before, not only are you a mom and a dog mom, but an impassioned educator, as well as sensational coach for parents and families and chaos.
Correct. That's what I do. I was a teacher for many, many years. Taught special education. I taught children from pre-K all the way up through higher ed. I worked in teacher preparation programs. So I've got this wide array of things and experiences that I've done. And I've recently retired from the classroom as an educator, but I will always be an educator in some capacity. And so that's where I've stepped into this new and exciting role of really working deeply with parents, with children, and overall the family unit. Coming from my own life of chaos and moving into what is now a calmer time in our lives because of getting through some really challenging times with my stepson. I am married to my best buddy in the whole wide world, my soulmate, Dr. Fred. And, when we got married, we had these challenges that we did not expect. We knew that, you've got kids, there's always challenges, but there were things that just, set us into chaos and heartbreak, and it was overwhelming, and we felt we were alone. And so
during that time, I know you've said in the past,
mm-hmm.
people gave you some really bad advice.
Really bad advice. And so I felt like we were so isolated and so alone, and we were told we were bad parents and that we weren't doing anything right, but nobody helped us. We couldn't find anybody to help us. And I don't want, I do what I do because I never want anyone to feel that there is not support, that someone doesn't care, that their family isn't worthy, that their children are too far gone. That's not the case. There is support.
And there's also, and what you've shared with me, an amazing framework that you use
Correct.
with people that I think people at home definitely know that if you have chaos at home, everything's in chaos. Like, it is something that not only leaks into your life, but it's prevalent all over the world, let alone, right here in California or in your area in
Correct.
Pennsylvania. It's a universal thing.
It is a universal thing.
And you not only, as you said, can feel isolated, but it's really confusing sometimes because of the array of things you could do. You could go to therapy, and I definitely support that sometimes.
Correct.
Dr. Teri likes to share, you're not a therapist.
I'm not a therapist.
However, not only are you an expert at overcoming this, you are also a seasoned educator and a behavioral specialist.
Correct.
So you know how to see the behavior and then what works and doesn't work.
Correct. And what works and doesn't work is not the same for every family, but I will tell you that the framework that I have is the basis for everything. So, as an example, there are 4 things that I teach to everybody. And this is a starting point. It's positive attention, what it looks like and sounds like. And it looks and sounds different to everybody, but the basic framework is the same. Helping your children to make decisions and choices by giving them control over something. You're not giving them control over your bank account or the car.
That would be scary.
That would be very scary. But to give them choices and allow them to make decisions. But what goes hand in hand with that is then, what are consequences? And consequences are neither good nor bad. They are just the result of something. So
I'm going to stop you there. That
Okay.
is such an important point, because most people say, like, you do something, you get punished, and that is bad.
Right.
But if you keep it neutral, explain what you were saying, because I think a lot of people need to hear that message at home. I know it's, for me, you don't want to threaten a child,
No,
right?
no.
Is where.
So a consequence is simply the result of something. It's raining outside, you carry an umbrella, you stay dry.
Right.
That is the consequence of carrying the umbrella. You go outside and you don't carry an umbrella, you get all wet. That's also a
But
consequence.
that's not bad.
That's
Some
correct.
people like sitting in the
correct.
rain.
It's just the result, and that's the major difference. And so, when children can learn to understand what the consequence is, what the result is of the decision, we want them to make decisions. We want them to build those decision-making muscles so that they can make decisions, good decisions, thoughtful decisions as they get older. Again, think about a teenager. By the time they're in their teenage years, your influence on them is diminishing because they've got all these other people around them. They go to a party. Do they drink? You want them to make the right decision. Okay? And that's one of the reasons.
That's a piece of the framework.
It's a piece of the framework. Absolutely.
Okay, so continue. There are not good decisions or bad decisions. There are just consequences.
Right?
Okay.
And then the final thing, excuse me, the final thing is creating flexibility, creating a routine that's flexible, modeling flexibility and self-care. Because if, one person in the family is not good, nobody else is good either. And that includes your children, but especially when you're a mom or a dad, and you're not feeling well or things are going poorly or you're acting poorly, your children are going to do the same thing. They see and hear everything that we do, and they imitate everything that we say and do.
Which is why not only do you need to take care of yourself, but I'd like to talk a little bit more about the routine.
Okay.
We have an amazing teenager in the house, and he recently said to us that he would like a routine. So I want to talk a little bit about if you could expand on why routines are important and awesome for everybody in the family, especially kids.
So routines are necessary for everybody, adults, children, because it provides some predictability. It's comfortable. It is, everybody knows what is expected then. Okay. And I think what happens very often is that for many families, the routine and the schedule becomes so jam-packed that there's no room for when something pops up. So, it's like when you're in a classroom and you have a teachable moment, a student asks a question, something pops up, and you stop what you're doing to teach. The same thing happens in families. One day you're making lunch and you run out of peanut butter, but what do you do then? It's just a shift in the change. The other thing is, having a routine of things that have to get done and things that you want to get done are really important. So, for your children in particular, getting up, making your bed, brushing your teeth, getting your school bag, getting on the bus, those are things that have to get done. And in that day, including things that they want to do. So, maybe they want to play in the yard, or they want to put together a puzzle, or they want to play a video game. Once they've finished all the things that they have to do, or not even all, some of the things that they have to do, intersperse something that they want to do. We're, as adults, we sit at work, we do our thing. When we want to get up and get a cup of coffee, we get up and get a cup of coffee. The same thing is true for your kids.
And you have to give them the liberty to do it.
And you have to give them the liberty to do it. And it also, wait for it, gives them the choice and understands the consequences of doing something or not doing something.
Right, because sometimes you lose sleep.
Correct.
No, there are many things you lose if you over and jam pack, and sometimes your sanity at home. No, I'm just kidding. Which is why.
Which is true.
Routine is really
Correct.
nice.
But having flexibility in there and knowing that, things may change, we have to model that for our kids too, because that's not something that comes naturally to a lot of children. And there are children, just like adults, who are more flexible than others. It's human nature.
For sure. Today we're giving you a pro tip for parenting, or, let's be honest, any families out there that are functioning perhaps with a little bit of chaos. So, if you're handling a little chaos, there's a chance that you might come up on an opportunity to respond or react. Tell me
Correct.
about that.
So respond or react, or proactive and reactive, are just a couple of ways to describe it. So basically, when we react, or our children react, it's done without thinking. So when a child has a temper tantrum, they are reacting. They're not responding. They haven't had time to sit down and think about it. So by responding, we take a moment, we take a breath, we take an hour, whatever the case may be, before we say or do anything that we can't take back. And that is so vitally important. Number one, we don't want to do that to our children. We don't want to do that to our spouses. And more importantly, we want to model the best, I hate to say the best practices, the best things, the best behaviors for our children, because like I said, they see and hear everything that we do and say, and they imitate us. And whether not whether, it's more like the better behaved we are, the better behaved our kids are going to be.
And when that happens, and we have an opportunity to respond or react, we have something called the pause opportunity.
Correct.
Talk to us about that.
So
Magic in that, right?
There is magic in that. And the magic is that when you take a moment and say to your kids, I need a minute, give me just a minute, and I'll get back to you. And when they can say that to you, mom, dad, grandma, I need just a second before I say anything, because I don't want to say something that I can't take back from you. That is such a phenomenal experience for everybody. That's the kind of thing that lights me up.
And it's a game changer, because you don't want to say something regretful in the moment and heated passion. We've all been guilty of that, let's be honest. And it's much better in life to be kind. So the pause. The powerful pause. Speaking of coming together, you and your husband not only share a passion for helping people and being in service, you have some fun hobbies at home that many people might find intriguing. Tell us about it.
Our favorite hobby is we make wine in our basement.
Wow.
So we've made Chianti and Viognier and all different kinds of, wines like that. And no, we don't stomp the grapes.
Man, you're missing that, because that was my next question.
I'm waiting for that. I would love to be able to do that, but we don't do that. Not yet, anyway. And so we just, it's fun. It's just a fun thing for us to do together.
Well, it's you're living your work. You say that families need to have fun and routine, and it's all a matter of balance. And before we leave, I've got to tell people at home, speaking of fun, on the screen, you can see how you can contact Dr. Teri if you or your family is in a little bit of chaos, or perhaps you just want some support around what a good routine looks like. Dr. Teri is there for you. Yeah. And I also want people to know that you have a real passion for storytelling. During COVID, you turned it into something called Snuggle Bunny. And we will close the segment with this warm fuzzy, because it's kind of like, in addition to reading Rainbow, one of your passions, and a marriage of some other things that you love. So tell people about it.
So Snuggle Bunny was born during the COVID pandemic. And so basically what I do is I read children's books to children and their families. And I love to share that on a weekly basis to the Snuggle Bunny Book Club. I do that on Facebook right now, but I'm working on finding another platform to house all of those. And
it's super professional. Like, you have a special camera, so
a document camera. It's fabulous,
And the big win is that parents, especially during the pandemic, I love your heart, just need to snuggle up, and you do the storytelling, and it's like something to look forward to.
Correct. And that was the ultimate goal, was to find something for parents and children to do together that was peaceful, that was quiet. Especially during that time of chaos when, parents were fighting to figure out how to work from home, how to teach their children, how to get them online, and all of those things. And I've just continued with that because, it's available. It's there. And
well, you're a very generous soul and a kind soul, but I also think for people at home, an important soul to connect with, because at the end of the day, we all want a happy home and forget that chaos. And when it rolls in, it's good to have support. So thank you so much for sharing your story and your passion, Dr. Teri.
Thank you.
Most importantly, thrilled that you came in from my hometown, Philadelphia, to Los Angeles. And if you're watching at home and you're inspired, we ask that you hit the share button and share the love, because Dr. Teri isn't just available on TV for advice. She would love to help you